to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
I'm Rob. We got some football and some exciting news to talk about.
We always have football news, and it's always exciting because it's us.
Well, I was going to say, we didn't have to talk about the Giants last week because we were on a bye.
Yeah, we still did. We still found a way to talk about the Giants, y'all.
Touché.
That is dedication, goddammit. That is dedication. So, all right, guys. So we got some news to go over today. We got a new Giant. We got another new Giant. We got a Giant that's been beyond bench, but is barely even on the roster at this point. We have yeah. We got people talking trash about our GM. We got people a little angry about it, the move that happened earlier this week. And then we got to preview the Giants and the Bucks, guys. The Giants and the Bucks. It's just, listen, the last game I went to actually at MetLife Stadium was the Giants and Bucks. And I live here in Tampa Bay now, so this game's got a little special place in my heart here. A little special place.
Oh, yeah. Say the least.
So let's get into it first, though, as usual, guys, with our Giants news here. So first off, let's talk about the newest Giant we have here. And that's Mr. Tyree Phillips, guys. And he's officially signed. We talked about him last week. We said there was interest all around the league. We said we were kind of hoping that the Giants might, bring him back at that point because, to be honest, we're kind of thin at tackle, guys. We are kind of thin at tackle. And when I mean thin, I mean we're like supermodel preparing for the runway kind of thin. Like it's
forgot to eat that cheeseburger for the past week.
Yeah, and this is not a plus size model either. This is the anorexic one of the 90s that barely fits the jeans. That's what we're at there. So
besides 000 that was said that she was fat.
Well, you figure Evan Neal has now been at right tackle last week and looked decent. Like I said, I'm not trying to knock him. He's actually looked decent last week. But every other game he's looked like poop. So we don't know what we're going to get week to week now until he's been a few weeks together of good games there. Chris Hubbard looked bad when he started. Josh Azudu looked bad when he started. Jermaine Illuminor is now at left tackle. So let's say, for example, guys, if Evan Neal stinks all of a sudden again, who's starting at tackle? We don't got anybody that you actually want to see out there.
I was going to say.
Now we got somebody. So we signed on, I should say, also to the practice squad, guys. So as of right now, he's not on the active roster. Keep in mind, we can also put a couple active guys a couple guys from the practice squad onto the active roster for a couple weeks before we actually put up the active roster. So we'll see what happens. He's played 22 games overall for the Giants, including 14 starts from 22 and 23 there. So the name sounds familiar, guys. That's why. He did have that little stop there with the Eagles last year before we signed him off their practice squad. So, and again, we mentioned last week, he suffered a quad injury week 17 last season, so he hasn't been able to play because he, quite frankly, hasn't been healthy yet. Now he's ready to go. And like I said, I think it's a welcome addition to that offensive line room because here's a guy that, again, he's not going to light the world on fire. I'm not trying to say anything crazy like that. But if I had to pick between him, Josh Azudu, and what I've seen of Chris Hubbard this year, yeah, I'm taking Tyree Phillips, guys.
Yeah.
And, before last week, I would tell you I would take Tyree Phillips over Evan Neal. Now, Evan Neal's had one good game at least, so I'm hoping that's a stretch, that some things turn around.
He has a chance.
And, but we'll see. We'll see. You never know. So let's talk about a guy who doesn't have a chance, though, guys. And that's Daniel Jones, who has not a single chance to see the field the entire rest of the season, basically, at this point. And I don't mean the game field. I mean a field in general. Like, literally, if he was an extra in the movie Sound of Music, the Hills would not be alive, and he would not be out there frolicking around with Mary Poppins out there.
He wouldn't be able to be a munchkin in the Wizard of Oz.
No. If he was in a movie with Kevin Costner, it would not be about baseball. No field twist whatsoever.
It might be Waterworld because he's way down there.
So, guys, we signed another quarterback this week. So that's really the story, but the side story is the bigger one that really takes shape in this whole thing. So Tim Boyle, you guys may remember him. He was with the Jets at one point, so he's been to New York before. 30 years old, signed to our practice squad. Along with playing for the Jets, he's also played for the Packers, the Lions, the Bears, the Texans, and the Dolphins. Oh my! He's got 5 starts to his credit overall. And when I say to his credit, I mean he's gotten 5 starts, and he's 30. Just tells you how good he actually is. He's not good, guys. He's not good. There's a reason he's available. But
for your third string quarterback.
Yeah. Daniel Jones is listed at practice as the string quarterback, guys. Now, for all you know who know how practice is run typically, you have your first team getting most of the reps, your second team gets some of the reps, your third team gets a little bit of reps. There is no fourth team. There is no. So, I know there's a lot of people a little upset that the Giants don't just come out and say, hey, we're benching him because we don't want to pay him. First off, I don't think they can because I think it'll cause a big issue with the NFL Players Association. Like, that's probably not the best thing to say. It would open up to litigation and issues, and that might have cap issues then later on.
Yeah.
Done, against the rules. Again, I don't know those rules to that degree. I'm not a lawyer. I just play it on TV. But that's something that somebody might be able to answer that knows a little more on that kind of stuff there. So if we have any lawyers that happen to work with the NFL, feel free to go ahead and let us know in the comments section. But yeah, that's, like I said, they have to say that. They have to say that. But now, so Boyle is going to go ahead and be our third quarterback in practice. So Daniel Jones basically might as well just go ahead and put some suntan screen on, go to the beach, not having to show up. Like, there's actually been conversations of should the Giants just excuse him for the rest of the season at this point. And again, I'm not sure the legality of that given the contract situation. And that's even a question beyond somebody having, a law degree and knowledge of the NFL to answer, because that depends on his contract specifically sometimes. None of us have access to that. But yeah, it's safe to say, guys, we will never see Daniel Jones on any kind of field whatsoever. They are hell-bent on making sure that he stays healthy, that he does not have any issues passing the physical at the end of the year, so they can cut him and not have to pay that $23 million injury guarantee. And they're getting some slack for it, which we'll talk about in a little bit from some of the the players and all his coworkers. But yeah, it's the right move, guys.
100%. We've been talking about this for weeks at this point.
Yeah, it's been 3-4 weeks ago. It's the right move, but it had to be done. And finally, it's being done, and it's being done to a degree beyond what I expected, to be very frank with you guys.
Yeah, they went very drastic and bold with this. Like,
yeah,
because you're allowed the emergency quarterback in this situation this year. So, like, I thought maybe what you do is you put Drew Lock in. Granted, like, he does have, he has, correct me if I'm wrong, but like in his salary, he has incentives.
Yeah, he's got incentives for playing time, for stats. He's got all kinds of incentives there.
Correct. So you're talking about financial decisions. You may not want to put Drew Lock in, but you think you would start him maybe half the game before we put Danny Dimes in, and then start Danny Dimes for the rest of your career. So you look like you're doing the right thing for all the players and moving down the line. Honestly. I hear what you're saying, but the one thing you have to you're not wrong, but the one thing you also have to look at from the player's point, if you're a free agent and you're looking at multiple teams, the Giants are one of them, and they look at this move, do you think that's going to deter some players from coming over here?
Well, here's the problem you run into. That is, I don't disagree with what you're saying there. The problem is, do you compound an issue? How many times we complain when an NFL team compounds an issue? Like, you made a mistake and you're just rolling with it now. Like, that's what we'd be doing if we started Drew Lock over Tommy DeVito. DeVito is the better player at this point. DeVito is the guy who you don't know yet what he is fully, whereas Drew Lock, you know what he is. He's a backup. He's a backup in the league. That's what he is.
I mean, but that's also what DeVito's going to be. But the thing is, what I was going to ask,
we don't know that. He may fall flat in his face and be nothing. We have no clue.
Yeah, we got 6-7 games of last year, which is not that far behind what Drew Lock has to start.
But But here's the thing. Drew Lock also led the league in interceptions one year. He also lost the job. He also couldn't beat out Geno Smith. Like, DeVito has shown at least a little bit of promise. And listen, guys, I'm not trying to say something crazy outlandish and get, sound bites thrown out there. But you look at DeVito and you go, he hasn't got a lot of time yet. We don't know fully what he is. And again, you and I both think he's probably a backup in this league. How do we know for sure, though, that he's not something better than what we think he is? We don't know because we haven't given him the chance. And I'm not saying that he is. But I'm saying he could be, whereas I don't have a single ounce of possibility for that in Drew Lock. So if I have one guy, there's a 5% chance, let's say hypothetically, that he develops into a decent quarterback in this league. And I have a guy with 0% chance, which I'm sorry, Drew Lock fans, that they're already out there. But I'm going with the 5% guy.
See, that's where it goes round and round, because I think you're talking about a guy that's never fell to the third string. Drew Lock was drafted, unlike Tommy DeVito. And I hear what you're saying. We don't know what we have, but there's other teams that had the opportunity to get him when he was even a Giant. Like, there's teams that had opportunities to get him, and they didn't. So that tells you a lot right there as well. It could be because he's Italian. He wants to play for the New York market.
But this year they couldn't, because this year they stashed him on the active roster, just made it inactive as an emergency quarterback. So this year they couldn't. So since he started last year, no one's had the chance to get him. The Giants have made sure of that. So they do think highly of him. That speaks volumes as far as that part there.
Correct.
So,
but if they thought volumes of him, you wouldn't go out and get Drew Lock and tell him that.
No,
hey,
but that's what I'm saying. You compound the problem.
You compound the problem, but you might make future problems, is what I'm saying.
I don't disagree there either. You're Dan if you do, and you're Dan if you don't. Are you starting the better quarterback that doesn't have the incentives, or are you risking ticking off people around the NFL? There's no right answer to this. And it's because we put ourselves in this scenario, like you and I have said so many times in the show, they should have gone out and got an actual, true competitor to be the quarterback alongside of him, let them duke it out. Make him win the damn job for once in his career. Because he never had to beat anyone out for the job, really. I mean, if you want to say he beat out Eli, sure, but he was drafted to take over for Eli. That's not the same thing as someone bringing in competition, and at the end of camp, them saying, you're the guy. You outperformed. He's never done that in his career. And the fact that that's never happened with the way he's played is an absolute goddamn travesty.
Yeah. And you're not wrong for that, saying that either, because Drew Lock's not competition. Like, when you talk about you start this season off with 3 backup quarterbacks.
Yep.
And it's which one you put out there.
Yeah.
And obviously, at this point in the career, at this point in the season, you have to go, who's the cheapest option? And who can we cut at the end of the year? And what can we do going forward? So obviously, you're right. You want to see what DeVito has. Do you pay this guy more money next year to stay around as the backup? That's something you want to see. Drew Lock,
yeah,
he's taking the bus with Daniel Jones. They might be even carpooling, depending if you get a job.
Well, I know he did mention. I heard a interview with Drew Lock today, and obviously he was very upset about the fact that he was not named the starter. Definitely disappointed. The question was asked of him, basically, why were you the backup all year long if they weren't going to put you in when they benched Jones? And you can tell he was like, listen, I got the same question. I can't say it more. I don't know what to tell you. I got the same question. But he did say the right thing, saying point blank, like, hey, I'm going to be there for Tommy. Me and him are friends, and we're going to go ahead and work together and look at what we're facing this week with the Bucs, and I'm going to do everything I can to help the team. So he said the right thing still.
That's what I say. Still said the right thing.
No, again, that's not a quote. That's just me kind of summarizing what he said. I don't want to, in case I said anything incorrect 100% from it. I wasn't planning on talking about that part on here in the show, but I did see that today. So I'll actually give a lot of credit to Drew Lock, because I'll be honest, point blank, I would be pulling a Marcus Mariota. I'd be gone. I'm not even kidding. I would have gone.
There's a difference if you get beat out, because also we're not at MetLife.
Get beat out. You never had a chance.
Once again, we're not at MetLife. We're not there through the week. We don't see what's happening in practice.
Yeah,
you may see something. There might be an injury that we don't know about. That's lingering on. Maybe he has something with a hamstring. You don't know. It could also just be Danny DeVito just looked that much better in
Tommy
practice. Tommy DeVito. God damn. Every time. I can't
I
help
both
it.
do that all the time.
I can't help it. The only time I enjoy Philadelphia. It's always sunny.
There's only been 2 DeVitos in our life for all these years. It was
Right?
Danny DeVito and Tommy DeVito, the old singer from the 60s. So listen, you had a 50-50 shot of getting the right answer. All right, guys, let's talk about Jordan Raanan, who, is a guy that I gotta say, guys, there's a lot of people I don't like to talk about too much in the show because I don't want to be too negative about certain people that cover the team. Jordan Raanan's one of the guys I actually have a lot of confidence in when he speaks. The guy doesn't care. He doesn't care about sugarcoating it for the franchise, partially because he works for ESPN. Let's be very frank. The Giants are not kicking the ESPN guy out of the room.
No.
You want that coverage. And so he gives honest coverage. So he was on the Talking Giants podcast there, talking about the situation with the benching of, Daniel Jones and all. Shout out to those guys there as we've been on their program as well. Good program for those looking for more things to watch as well. We've also had, and we've also had them on the show as well. At least half of them. Bobby Skinner's been on the show before. I'm still trying to get Justin on one day.
Come on, Just.
But I have been on a show with Justin as well, so he knew I talked before too. So, but like I said, good show. Either way, Jordan anyway was talking. He said that basically there was a report he gave that the cutting of Nick McCloud was apparently not a very popular move by the players, and that Dexter Lawrence was upset over the benching of Daniel Jones. We'll get more into that part of it later on. He said, I've talked to plenty of guys in the locker room, and those kind of things bother them. The GM is not that popular in the locker room at all. So these things do matter. Jordan Raanan also talked about how the locker room was upset based on how, Tyrod Taylor last year lost the job to Tommy DeVito while injured. He also said that Taylor would have never returned to the Giants, as Shane indicated was a possibility during Hard Knocks. He goes on to say, the funny thing is their misevaluation of the situation, if Hard Knocks was true, they really thought Tyrod might come back. He wasn't going to come back. He didn't like that he lost his job by injury again and to Tommy DeVito. If the front office really thought that, they're completely out of touch. Yeah, guys, that's scary because I could have told you that myself. And again, Jordan's got a lot more connections with the Giants than we do, obviously. Like, we talked about that. We said there's no way in hell Tyrod Taylor comes back because he said basically as much that he was not happy with the fact that he got benched, And he didn't say it verbally, but he said it every single physical possible cue that you could have given him. Like, it was pretty obvious that he was not happy about the way things were going down. You can look at his face. You can see in his tone of voice. Everything was there. And if the Giants really thought that they were going to get him back, they're crazy. Yeah. Absolutely crazy, guys. And, again, like he said, to be that out of touch with your own locker room, that's insane, guys.
It's an issue.
Now, the GM does not have the same relationship with players that the coach does. I'm by no means suggesting that. They don't necessarily see them on a daily basis per se or have in-depth conversations with them daily. They give it kind of like, like let's say if you're working in retail, for example, you have your store manager, that would be Dable. You have your area manager or district manager, whatever term you want to use, whatever company. That would be Joe Schoen. Like, he comes in, you know who he is, you have conversations, he knows you, you're supposed to have some kind of rapport and relationship together, but you don't see him all the time. Like, that's basically the way it is with GMs. So, I think that the big issue for me is he's not in touch with people. And it makes me wonder, like, is there, and this conjecture I'm about to say this, guys. I'm about to say it up front. This is 100% conjecture on my part. I'm beginning to wonder if he doesn't have the social skills to be a GM.
What are you talking about? He's a down-to-earth man that likes peanut butter jelly sandwiches.
I know he loves his peanut butter jelly time. But it's like, I look at the fact that, he said publicly things on Hard Knocks and all that he knew were public that he should not have said about Saquon, regardless of if you wanted to keep him or not. You don't sit there and say he's old, he's got a lot of miles, so we're not re-signing him, blah, blah, blah. You don't say things publicly about a player like that. You flat out don't.
No. You say that with camera on, you know what your answer is.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's just you don't do that, and I don't know. Just like I said, I told you we talked about this a while ago, like with Hard Knocks. I kind of got this vibe that he thinks he's the smartest guy in the room, and there's one thing to be the smartest guy in the room, and to know that and not be a dick about it. But I got more the dick vibe,
And it's also a thing where you're a dick and you think you're the smartest guy in the room,
and you're not.
but you just hold that position of power, which is way worse.
Yeah, we've all had those bosses. And that's what I'm really looking at here. Going, does he not have the social? Because you have to have social skills, guys, to be that in a GM position. You're not like a cap guy. You're not a scout. You are sitting there having one-on-one conversations with these players. You're having group meetings with them and their agents and all. This is a relationship position that you have to build these relationships up. And if you don't, you're going to be in trouble. Because eventually you're going to need a favor. Eventually you're going to need to say, hey, listen, you want to be here. We want you here. And have that be the truth. And it may be the truth that we want this hypothetical person here. But if you listen to the way they're talking here, the players don't want to play for Schoen. And if that's the case, that's an issue, guys. And, we said this on the show last week. Or actually, it wasn't last week. It was just Monday.
Yeah.
Dable's not the only one coaching for his job. Schoen is GMing for his job, for lack of a better term here. Like, he needs to be able to show that he can be the GM of the future. And he's got a few weeks to do it, guys. And if this is the kind of stuff that's going on in this locker room right now, listen, any place you work, there's issues people have with the boss. That is life. But when you look at the situation, and we've all worked at a place where there's turmoil and all things going on, and somebody comes in, does the right thing, fixes things, and everything goes back to normal. So it doesn't mean that Schoen's done. But he's got to fix these relationships. He's got to get his head out of his gluteus maximus, put it nicely.
Say it nicely, yeah.
And
listen,
he's got to figure out what he's doing wrong.
Yeah, when you take a transatlantic cruise, right, you're going to hit some rough waters. Doesn't mean you're not going to successfully get across the Atlantic.
Yep.
So
that's what
I'm saying. He's in a perfect storm right now.
Yeah,
he's in a perfect storm right now.
Yep. Where's Russell Crowe?
Yeah.
Was he that?
No, that was George Clooney.
Oh, I don't know. One of those people.
I think it was George Clooney and Mark Wahlberg.
Oh yeah, no. Russell Crowe is in like Master Commander of the Sea or something.
Oh yeah.
That's the one I'm saying.
I have not seen either of those movies.
And neither have I. So I don't know why we're talking about it.
I know he was the captain. The lieutenant, he wasn't the whole time.
Deb says, I heard an interview with Pat Leonard today. He's not a fan at this point of Schoen and Dable. Said Mara left the door open for change when he said he'd not anticipate any changes. Oh yeah, no, 100%. Same as we anticipated Wake Martindale coming back last year.
Yeah.
You notice that first interview they had like the day after the last game. Oh, we anticipate Wake Martindale coming back. And that funny thing is
4 hours later.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that was Schoen and Dable saying that. So it's like now Mara's using their own tool against them, basically. We'll see. Like I said, I don't know what's going to happen, guys. I don't. And I will tell you this, though. If Schoen and Dable come back, if they do, there will be feelers put out before that happens. Meaning the Giants will feelers out to different agents, different coaches out there and say, hey, if the job were to open up, would you be interested?
Yeah.
That's what he'll do. I guarantee it.
And
he's smart.
I wouldn't be. Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't be surprised too. Because we talked about too. I think Shane's more in the hot seat than Dable, but typically when you bring in a new GM, that head coach is also on the hot seat.
100%.
But if you're seeing the feelers out there, what do you feel about Dable? Guys got the locker room. There's been a lot of animosity. Guys got a lot of respect in the locker room. What do you feel about that? So that's something,
Yeah.
If you're looking at it for a new GM, like that's something like
I like Dable more than I like Shane.
Agreed.
That's a problem. Because of what you just said, you don't typically fire the GM and then keep the coach. That doesn't typically happen. And I do think they're attached to the hip like that. And I do think if things continue going downhill, you very well could see both of them go. And if that's the case, guys, it's Mike Vrabel time. I'm sorry. It's Mike Vrabel time. That's the guy.
Mike Vrabel time. I
know everybody loves Bill. Everyone wants Bill Belichick. Listen, I'm fine with Bill Belichick being in a front office role, but I want him nowhere near the draft board at this point.
Yeah.
But I do want to. That's who I would want. I want
Zappy.
Bailey's not Bailey Zappi. No, we're not getting Bailey Zappi. No, but I want Mike Vrabel. I think he's the best coach out there. Really, of the people that are at least a commodity. Like there's unknown commodities. Like there's what's the name, Ben Johnson of the Lions that everybody wants every year or whatever. But yeah, like I said, I think it'd be interesting. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, we just win some games. Everything smooths on over, and we keep on sailing the ship the way we're going at that point and get this hurricane because. I still think brighter days are ahead, guys. I still think get a quarterback in here, and we're good to go. And I know, again, not a Super Bowl team. I'm not going crazy, but we're at least an average team with a good quarterback.
We could be better than average.
I'm trying to keep it down.
Yeah.
I mean, like I'm trying to keep it because I don't know. You can look at the games we lost by one touchdown and say, okay, we could be this and this, but it's like you're not going to win all those games. Even the best teams lose a couple of those games like that. But goddamn, you don't lose them all.
I think you look probably more like the Atlanta Falcons. Probably a little better.
Well, that's not good how bad they lost last week. But
well, look how bad we've been losing all year.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's just like we would not be 2-8 with the quarterback right now.
No.
We would at the very least we would be like 5-5. I think at the very least we would have beat Carolina. Yeah. Probably would have beaten the Commanders. We probably a couple of the teams at that point you could sit there and say we would have beaten. So probably could have beaten the Cowboys that time we played them. I mean, plenty of games. So all right, let's get into more issues with the locker room, guys, because we got to talk about our MVP, our top player. Sexy Dexy, not happy at all, guys, apparently. Now, I'm not saying he's disgruntled to the point where he wants out or anything like that, but he's just, like I said, that DJ is his buddy.
Yeah, what I think he did was, I think it's 100% the right move. What to say? It's your friend that you play with. Yep. It's something like, that's all he knows as a professional. And it's DJ and his, having his back, if you will. So, yeah. They're pretty good friends on and off the field. So you're looking at it, and now you're also playing for an organization where you're one of the best in the league. So like you have to represent the organization you're playing for. So yeah, that's what he said. He didn't say anything bad about the Giants. He didn't say anything bad about DJ. He just kind of was like questioning. That's my friend.
Yeah. I look at the fact that. I think any of us would take a 6'4", 342-pound guy in our corner. Like that's a mountain of a man, guys. Here's what's his exact quote. He said, "It's tough. That's my best friend. It's tough for that to happen. I can't control it. They made the decision based off their evaluations and thoughts and feelings. You've got to respect it as a player, even though you don't like it. That's my boy. As a player, you have to keep playing. As a human and as a brother, I feel for him." He said it was a little bit of confusion, just wondering what happened. You don't know their full thoughts behind it. I think we trust the coaches and where they're going and where they think we can go. That's what you have to do. You have to be naive. You think about the wrong shit, and then you start playing like shit. Know what I'm saying? And first off, we've been playing like poop all.
Yeah.
Oh no, are we gonna get worse? Like, seriously, like, is that really a concern? We're 2-8, guys. We're tied for the worst record of the league. Are we concerned we're going to play worse?
Yeah, I'm going to have to say this.
I guess, like you said, he was measured, but you can tell he's not happy about it. But this guy's been going to battle his whole career with Daniel Jones, guys. Remember, he was a rookie the same exact first round that we picked Jones. We got him.
Yep.
And some corner we don't talk about there. But, that was a guy that he's been with from the very beginning of the NFL. So, yeah, he should stick up for him. And I think he did it kind of measured there, to be honest. He also reminded people that it's a team game. He said teams lose games, not just one player. And I think that should be understood.
It should, but also, I mean, look at any battle in history. It's the generals that win the games, and it's your commanders that are in there. And guess who commands the football team during the plays? It's your quarterback.
And the Commanders are also the only team that DJ usually can beat. So
yeah, and listen, and they spanked them this year. So
couldn't beat him twice this year. So also, anonymous player spoke to Jordan Schultz about the DJ badging. He said, "We're not idiots. They did it because of money. So be it. But Daniel has been all class, never complained, and is now being completely disregarded. The team record is bad. You can point fingers everywhere. To try to blame him is trash, and making him third string as weak as blank." They didn't say what the blank was. They just put an expletive at that point. So
I'm sure if you have an iPhone, it will spell out duck.
Is that what it was?
I'm assuming that's what it is.
Quote. I mean, it could be a lot of things. Depends on how strict they want to be with it.
It could be an extra S in that hit.
I'm not sure how Jordan Schultz feels about cussing, so I can't say. He did also say that several other players expressed their disappointment. So, listen, we've said all along, DJ, as much as we didn't like him as a starting quarterback, is a quality person. It doesn't shock me at all that players in this locker room are upset about this. Does not shock me. You know what is going to fix this, guys? Winning, as Charlie Sheen says. We got a little tiger's blood. You got to go red. Like,
take a little bit of that Peruvian nose nachos. That's
Peruvian nose nachos.
That's some tiger's blood and go out there and win some games.
I'm just saying, like, that's what I think. I mean, like I said, I get they're upset. I get they're disappointed, especially Dexter Lawrence, who's been going to battle with this guy for years now. But it's still the right move, guys. It's still the right move. And there's not a single player that I worry about ticking off that we can't either fix with time, like Dexter Lawrence, depending on how ticked off he is, you can still fix it with time. He's under contract for years. And there's nobody else that I'm that worried about losing, because it's that important that we move on from Daniel Jones, guys. And we don't have to pay this money next year. That's a lot of moolah. That's a lot of money.
A lot of money.
He gone. All right, guys, let's get into our preview of the Bucs after we pay the bills.
Enjoying the show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Memberships start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
All righty, guys. So let's get to the comments, too, before we get into that preview there. We're going to ignore you, Dakota, because we know we won't put that comment up on the screen.
Here's some birds.
Good to see you as always, man, though. Your father says, howdy.
Howdy. That's just because he's been hanging out in Arizona way too much.
And then he
you
says,
smell awful like the Golden Corral.
Then he says, no, keep him as a backup. Nope, we're not keeping DJ as a backup. He got to go.
$23 million.
Right
23 million reasons why you don't keep him as backup.
Got to go. Deb says, question, is shit show one word or two? I believe it's two.
Yep.
And she said, thank you, Rob. So I'm guessing you signaled to her.
I gave it. It wasn't deuces. It was hey, two.
Anthony says, tank for a QP. Nope, not tanking. Refuse to do it. Refuse. Yeah. Can't do it.
We really don't have to tank that much.
Tanking does not guarantee success. If that's the case, ask the Panthers how it's worked out for them getting a first overall quarterback. Ask the Bears how it's worked for them getting the first overall quarterback.
You also ask the Miami, who got themselves in trouble a few years back.
Well, that's a whole separate issue, yeah. It was just funny because they got the quarterback they were supposedly tanking for anyway, because it was tanked for Tua. So, Jay says, Drew stirring the pot. Rob with the taste. Well done, bros. Yes. we were a little different than usual today because usually I feel like Rob, you're the one stirring the pot. I'm stirring the pot today, I guess.
Yeah.
I try to be the level-headed person, which is just not my usual role. Not in life in general.
I'm usually the guy like over the cove like a witch.
Yeah.
Like,
You're like, oh, is that your favorite player? He sucks.
yeah. Them too. Why he's terrible.
William Wirtz says DeVito is winning. He beat the Packers. Yeah, like I said, he's shown me enough where I want to see more. We were calling for this from the get-go. Like I said, we're not upset by any means. We were saying point blank, not Drew Lock. We got Dan. Now you got me doing that. Tommy DeVito into the game there. Let's see. We'll put Deb's comment up already. John says, hey fellas, so Danny Boy's out. Tommy Lasagna's in. Now we will lose 2 pick because he will win games, probably beat Dallas, but they look better, so could go either way. Bucks game could also. Listen, I don't care. I want to win.
W-O.
I want to win. I want to win. Let's talk about
I want to win.
Let's talk about a team we could beat, though, guys, because this is a game that now with the quarterback change, I got to say, I'm going into this week more positive than usual.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. A home game with Daniel Jones as quarterback was not a recipe for success. He was horrible at home. He ain't there anymore. He literally will be at home, like literally at his home on his couch watching the game. So he done. So
you have a Sunday beer.
Let's talk about the Bucks and the Giants when we're on offense here, guys. And this is going to be the fun one to watch because you look at what's going on for the Bucks, and let's be honest, guys, they've been known for years for having great defenses. That's what the Bucks were. They were a bad offensive team that had really good defenses. You can go back even to the Dungy days at that point there and the Gruden days, and they still had really good defenses. Warren Sapp's, Warren Sapp and Derek Brooks and, the other barber at that point, Rondé, those kind of guys. Lynch, yeah. But even more recent, they always had decent defenses and bad offenses. This is not the case, guys, anymore. You got a defensive head coach even. Their defense sucks. They're giving up 26.6 points a game, guys. That's 27th in the league. They're giving up 389.8 yards per game, 30th in the league. That's bad. That is bad. That's their defense is about as bad as our offense.
So it'll be about a 14-17 game.
That's going to be the interesting part. We'll see because their offense. We'll get to their offense a little bit. Their offense is really good. Now they also cannot stop the run. They're giving up 4.8 yards per carry, which is 28th in the league. Tyrone Tracy Jr. should have a really good game. I'm looking forward to that. Now some of their stats are a little misleading because they're not giving up a ton of rushing yards per game. But that's because teams point blank aren't running the ball on them very much because they're usually passing the ball very well, and they just keep on doing that. So 68.62 is the completion percentage their defense is allowing. Is 25th in the league. They're giving up 264.1 passing yards per game, 30th in the league. They're getting interceptions only 1.33% of passes. That is 27th in the league. By the way, 30 seconds probably us. I'm just assuming we have one interception this season. But DeVito doesn't have to do much basically to, let's be honest, seem like an improvement over Daniel Jones.
Yeah, if he wins this game, his mom's going to make him a veal cutlet parmesan instead of a chicken cutlet.
Ooh. Stepping it up a little gabagool on top there.
Yeah, actually gabagool.
Gabagool. But this is a really good team for him to go against to start his season off. Maybe mid-season for the Giants. This is the start of the DeVito season at this point, and it's a good time to be playing for the Giants because you're going to go up, start off right off the bat, off a team with a very bad defense that you should be good at. It's a sloppy defense too, guys. They're averaging 5.8 defensive penalties per game, which is 24th in the league. So they're just point blank sloppy. They're making mental mistakes. They can't stop the run. They can't stop the pass. Like crazy. Yeah.
So what you tell me is pretty much all the stats. The highest, the best stat line they have is 24th ranked.
Well, that's just of the ones I listed. The other ones I could have listed. Again, some of their rushing stats aren't that bad, but it's because teams don't rush against them often. It's not they're stopping the run. They don't have many run attempts on them because, again, they're letting them pass the ball wherever they want. So why would you worry about them running at that point? But what's crazy is, guys, they have a lot of talent on this team. They really do. Like it's like it's almost like they're one of those teams that like you have some really good players and you're really thin past those guys. That's the way it kind of plays out there. So you got two great defensive tackles, or one great, one up and coming. Vita Vea, who's been just an absolute beast for Tampa for years now, got 31 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, and 5 sacks on the season. He's kind of their version of Dexter Lawrence. Now, don't get me wrong, he is not Dexter Lawrence. I'm not trying to suggest that in any way, shape, or form, but he's a guy that just go up the middle, get pressure on the quarterback, and there's not a lot of guys in the league who can do it, and he does do it well. You know, he's probably one of the top 5, top 10 defensive tackles in this league, guys. That's going to be a matchup issue for this Giants interior offensive line. Then you got Elijah Cansey, who's their, first round pick from a couple of years ago, actually last year. Remember, he was the one that people were calling him the baby version of Aaron Donald at that point. Came from the same school, undersized, same as him. There was a lot of comparisons made because of that kind of stuff. He's got 17 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, and 4 sacks in the season. So, guys, they're going to bring pressure up the middle. Point blank. This is going to be a big game for John Michael Schmitz. JMS really has to show up, but also the 2 guards. John Raanan Jr. was brought in because of his pass blocking prowess. This is going to be a game he's got to show up and do that. Greg Van Roten has been one of the best offensive line we've had over the last couple weeks. He's actually been playing much better as the season progresses. Keep in mind, he got the late start. We signed him very late. So that might be part of that. But he's got to show up as well because they're going to have some pressure up the middle, guys. They have no problem doing that. So you got also on there, one of the probably the most underrated linebackers in the league, and Levante David, who's, you look at him and you go, why is this guy not bigger name than he is household wise? Like, he's a pretty big name here in the Tampa Bay area. I can tell you that. And I think guys that watch football on a regular basis obviously know who he is, but I don't think he gets necessarily the credit he deserves. And he's been around for a long time, guys. And probably because he plays in a small market team at Tampa Bay, that's why he's not. But he was a bigger name, obviously, during the Brady years when they're winning, the Super Bowl and going to the playoffs year in, year out. But past that, he really hasn't got a lot of love from the NFL. 72 tackles on the year, 5 tackles for loss, 4 passes deflected, an interception, and 3 sacks. Guys, that's a solid line. You got Zion McCullough, who's got 48 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 10 passes deflected, and 2 interceptions. He's one of their corners there. Now, he is a guy that might not play. We'll see. He didn't practice today, Wednesday, as we're recording this. So you have to keep an eye on the injury report. If he doesn't, that's a big thing because this guy gets his hands on the balls. He doesn't have a lot of interception, guys, but 10 passes deflected is like what people are glad to get on the season.
Yeah.
Let alone in 10 games here.
A little over halfway.
Yeah. You got a good duo of safeties on this team as well. You got Jordan Whitehead's got 71 tackles, a tackle for loss, 3 passes deflected, and Antoine Winfield Jr., who is some people consider top tier safety in this league here. 48 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 1 sack, and 2 passes deflected. So, guys, they got talent. That's 6 guys I listed there. That, quite frankly, I would take on the Giants pretty much any day of the week here. But beyond that, the rest of the starting lineup, some questions. They've missed on some guys they've tried to get for pass rushers. Basically their pass rush is coming from the middle. But it's they still have Todd Bowles, who's a good defensive coach, so you can't 100% sleep on him. But yeah, it's the performances have not been good for this defense so far this year at all. So I'm expecting a big game out of Tommy DeVito. And I'm expecting a lot of help from him in the run game, especially Tyrone Tracy Jr. And that's probably what we should do, to be very frank. We should let that run set up the pass until, Tommy gets his feet wet a little bit there and gets a little more confident. And then you guys will see it. Once he gets confident, he's going to chuck the damn ball down the field.
I was going to say, you're going to see a lot of design. First down runs, third down throws, which is kind of like their MO. But you should probably see a little more success. Like you said, when your team's averaging, and once again, small sample size, like you said, you beat the dead horse on it. But you're small sample size about 4.8 yards per carry, and you got the rookie that's averaging about 5.1, 5.2 yards per carry. It's a matchup you want to take advantage of.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
100%.
And then with that happening, guess what? They're going to start stacking the box. And when when I was about to say Danny Dams, when Mr. Cutlets himself takes a step back, guess who else we have? That's keep that dirty name out of my mouth. But when he takes a step back, guess about another rookie that we had that's been doing pretty good this year. Oh, it's got Malik Neighbors and Wandale Robinson. We can start utilizing these guys. Or how about some really fast guy that we picked up? The year prior that's barely seen the field that played a little bit more last week.
I honestly think, because I think Slade's going to be back this week. I still haven't heard for sure he's definitely back, but again, we have the bye week. I know he did practice with the Giants here today. They had him listed as full participant there today. So assuming he's back,
less Hyatt, more Slade.
Yeah, I think you're going to see Slayton back, but I do think they're going to try to get Hyatt in there just because, again, same as what they're doing with Tommy. They're trying to see what they got in some of these young players here. And you got to put him in the field to see what you got. But I think you're to see how many times, guys, we've seen deep throws down the field, and they're nowhere near the goddamn receiver. It's like 2 or 3 yards off.
Yeah, you can't evaluate. I mean, you can evaluate that. You evaluate your quarterback for not throwing the ball. Pretty near placement. Like, it doesn't have to be picture perfect in the numbers every single time in stride.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what ends up happening really with this team. I really am. I think that you're going to find out pretty quickly here the next week or two how much of this was DJ and how much of this is Dable. Because if this team looks like crap with another quarterback, Dable's going to get the blunt of the blame,
right,
because he's the one calling the plays. He's the one who's the offensive guru. He's the one who's the quarterback whisperer, supposedly. Like, all of this, I'm telling you right now, guys, is going to go right 100% on him. That's where it's going to go. And if this team doesn't get better, you're going to probably see Dable be gone.
Yeah. Listen, if they go 500 for the next, how many games we got left? 6 games for the 7 games. So if they win 3 games,
7 games, 2-8. So we got 7 more games to go. So we very well could go 2-15.
We also might be able to go 5-10. Maybe,
We also
could
6. Go 9-8.
That would be
that'd be crazy. You imagine that? How pissed off a Giants fans be? We started winning every single game.
We're in the playoffs. What?
We're never getting a quarterback.
Yeah. No, you go to playoffs, you win a game, and then you're like,
they'll say that, but let's be honest, guys. If we get 9-8, what you got? I don't think it's going to happen. If we went 9-8 all of a sudden, I would probably sit there saying, "Yeah, maybe we should keep DeVito next year."
Well,
1 more year. Let's see what happens.
Gotta have to at that point.
You got to do exactly. So let's talk about when we're on defense here, guys. And listen, this is where the Bucs are really good, guys. As bad as they are on defense, they are underrated on offense. They are very good on offense. 27.9 points per game. That's 5th best in the league. 361.5 yards per game. That's 8th best. 50% on third downs, guys. 50%. That is 2nd best in the league.
That's pretty
68.42 red zone scoring percentage. That's 3rd best. 5 yards per carry when running the ball. 5th best. 125.3 rushing yards per game. 10th best. 70.64 completion percentage throwing the ball. 2nd best. 236.2 passing yards per game. 10th best. Guys, this is a legit offense. You want to know what the really scary part of it is? Mike Evans has not been healthy this year. Chris Godwin is out for the year after the last couple of weeks after his gruesome injury he had on prime time. Like, guys, you look at this roster and you're like, how? Like, honestly, that's what you're looking at. I go, how? And I really think a big part of it is the run game is finally there. They have not had a run game, guys, in Tampa the last couple of years. Rachaad White's been their main running back. They got Bucky Irving. We'll talk about these guys in a little bit there. But I really think that's the difference is all of a sudden you have the option to run the ball. You didn't have that before. Basically, you had Baker Mayfield the last 2 seasons playing with 2 really good receivers and just chucking the ball up to them and hoping for the best. That's what you've basically been doing.
Yeah.
So it ain't that anymore. Now it's a legit offense that has both sides of the coin. And there's a big difference in the results, doesn't matter. So Baker on the season, 70.6 completion percentage, 2,505 yards, 24 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and 103.6 passer rating, guys. Solid numbers.
Yeah.
Go to the rushing side. Bucky Irving, 492 yards, averaging 5.1 yards per carry, 4 touchdowns. Now, tomorrow, guys, we will talk about him a little more. We're going to do a little comparison. We'll talk about who's the better running back, him or Tyrone Tracy Jr. These are probably the 2 best rookie running backs in this league. We called it when Irving went to the Bucs. We said it's a great matchup for him to go. He's the complete opposite of Rachaad White that we'll talk about in a moment, and it'd be like a nice combo. And it's worked out that well for him. He's been their lead back, though, and he is definitely taking control of it. And anytime you're getting 5 yards per carry out of a running back, something's going right.
Yeah.
And him and Tyrone Tracy both the same kind of thing. Slower start to the season, kind of got ramped up, started getting more and more playing time as the season went along. And like I said, both of them now the lead backs in this game here. Rachaad White, 306 yards, 3.8 yards per carry average, 1 touchdown. And Baker Mayfield's got 192 yards and a 5.3 yards per carry average and 2 touchdowns. Receiving wise, Chris Godwin is still, guys, their top receiver. And again, he's out. Done. He's out for the year. But he had 50 receptions, 576 yards, and 5 touchdowns on the year.
There's a little chance of hope that he comes back
for the Super Bowl.
Week 7. No, they talked about it because it was dislocation of his.
They said about Aiden Hutchinson with the Lions. We'll do the Super Bowl.
Well, as soon as the injury happened, because it looked very gruesome, but it was dislocation of his ankle.
Yeah.
So like it wasn't as severe as it looked on the field. So nothing broke, and there was nothing torn with his ligaments. So there might have been a little bit, rip in there, but there wasn't like a tear.
Yep.
So they talked about it like if they go to the playoffs, like there's a good shot that he could make it back for his playoffs. But with 4 wins in week 12, you're probably not making the playoffs.
And guys, to tell us all about his injury, guys, introducing to the program Chris Godwin. No, I'm kidding. Be hilarious. Hilarious if we had it. Living here in Tampa, I actually do have some connections to him there, but he's not going to come on our show. Let's be honest. We'd be like, he doesn't want to come on this show here and have to hear us bash the Bucs. We're going to bash the Bucs. It is what it is. Deal.
Yeah.
So also though, Cade Otton is now their top receiver they've got now for the whole, as far as what they've done for the year. That's their tight end, 49 receptions, 456 yards, 4 touchdowns. Mike Evans, 26 receptions, 335 yards, 6 touchdowns. Now, he's also a guy that we're not 100% sure what's going to happen this game with him. He is limited in practice today with a hamstring issue. He's already missed, I think, 3 games in the season now. So, going to be interesting for him the rest of the way. This is a guy who hasn't hit under 1,000 yards in his career yet.
Over a decade.
Yeah. I mean, literally, guys, he was the same draft class as OBJ. And I'm telling you right now, guys, if he stays healthy and plays for a little while longer, he's going to start getting into the pantheon of like one of the best receivers ever number-wise. I don't think he'll ever be considered Jerry Rice, obviously, but he's going to start being in a conversation as like one of the best of this generation to not be talked about while he played, but you look at his whole career and go, wow, okay, this really is one of the best of that generation because he was a very long career, already has had a long career and a very productive career for a long time. So Rachaad White, 37 receptions. I got that. 100%.
I was going to say he's got a lot of yards on the year.
Yards according to our notes. Let's take a look at the actual numbers here because I obviously have an extra number in there somewhere. I think it's just about 300 yards, right? Yeah. Apparently, according to my notes, he has 7,000 some odd yards. So
yeah,
he's got
291 to be exact, but whatever.
291. The extra 7 got in there somehow. So, and 4 touchdowns.
That's what she said.
Bucky Irving, 26 receptions, 188 yards. Our old buddy's back. Sterling Shepard. Shep is back. 16 receptions, 166 yards, 1 touchdown. Now, guys, this we should be calling the anti-Saquon game because you know how bad Saquon Barkley got booed every time he touched the ball? Guys, it's going to be a little bit torn for Sterling Shepard. Like, he is such a fan favorite, it's not even funny. He really is. And he's still thought of highly amongst the fans, the players, the coaching staff, even the front office, ownership. Like, you'll probably not find anybody at any of the Giants buildings ever talk trash about this man.
No, and it's crazy too because like he didn't really get too many starts this year, and it's once that pretty much once Evans went down and Brown went down, like you see Shep stepping up in the past few weeks, the past month, and Brent, is he balling this year? No, but he's got a couple touchdowns this year. He's got the 1 touchdown. Yeah, he's got the 1 touchdown this year, which I think it was like a 7-yard pass for like the game win. And
he's also though 31 years old, coming off 17 season-ending surgeries at this point. It feels like so. It's like you can't be expecting that. He didn't touch the ball, by the way, guys, until week 4. That's the first time he actually got a catch. So you're talking in the 7 games he's played, he's had 166 yards, which, on a season, that would put him at what, 400 or 500 yards. He's been a good contributor. He's not the guy he was, obviously. He's not going to get you 700, 800 yards like he used to. No problem with the Giants, but he's still a guy that's going to do some damage, and he's a solid veteran who knows what he's doing, runs well routes. And I'll tell you guys, some of his catches have been very well-timed kind of catches. Like, he's showing up in big spots, which is what Shep does. Guys, listen, once this week is over, I wish all the best for him going forward still. I will always root for Shep as long as he's playing in this league, as long as he's doing things in life in general. He's just a stand-up guy, absolute stand-up guy. So the big question is going to be, guys, because let's be honest here, especially if Mike Evans plays, Mike Evans is going to destroy Deontay Banks. Let's be very frank on that. The big question is going to be the pass rush. The pass rush has to be able to get to the quarterback, guys. Now, the line's been basically average at protecting Baker Mayfield. So he's being sacked on 6.52% of passing plays. That's 15th in the league. Again, 32 teams, you're right smack dab in the middle. Unless you want to say they're just barely over average. But, I mean, it's basically right in the middle there at that point. So, we do have Kayvon Thibodeau potentially coming back as well. That hasn't been fully announced, but he's designated to return off the IR. He's been practicing this week now. He was listed today. Let's see what the Giants listed him as. Limited practice with his wrist injury. But still, he's out in the field. He's making progress. If we can get him out there, it's another body at that point there. You start throwing people like crazy at Baker Mayfield. Don't give him time to get comfortable. And listen, Baker is one of those guys that it doesn't get talked about enough, but he's a guy that he's not Bryce Young, guys, but he's not tall. He is definitely, he's 6'1", they say, but if you ever I swear he slips like something like pads under his,
let's say he gets.
I don't think
he puts those insoles in his cleats without taking the old insole out.
Yeah, but you still figure the average quarterback is more like 6'2" to 6'4" around there, so he's a little bit shorter there. So when you get people into his face at that point, he has a little more trouble seeing downfield. So I really think the pass rush is going to be the big difference between whether or not the Giants can go ahead and stop this offense from not scoring, because they're going to score. That's what they do. But not scoring as prolific as they usually do. I think that's the thing you got to do. You got to hope the Giants score more than they do usually, and that the Bucs score less than they usually do. And then eventually, you hope somewhere in the middle, the Giants have a shot, basically. So,
yeah, it should be interesting because if you look at the variables and you take statistics of, with Daniel Jones in there, and now you're kind of playing with house money.
Yeah,
and you got DeVito in there, and is there going to be some hero ball played by the Giants? Could be some of these guys. Like we talked about Dable and Shane playing for the jobs, but we also just said DeVito might be playing for a backup role instead of third string. He might be playing for a better position. So
there's a lot of guys that are playing for roles overall. Let's be honest, there, guys.
Yeah,
like that's something there. There's going to be a lot of people playing for their jobs, whether it be with the Giants or in the NFL in general. That's just the way it's going to go.
Correct.
That's what losing happens there. You start worrying about the future at that point. Let's talk about our thoughts and picks here on the game here. So, we talked about it. Great offense, bad defense. The Giants have been a very bad offense with an average defense. And now we go into with the new quarterback. And guys, I got to tell you, I don't know what to expect out of this offense. It's a crapshoot. I think expecting an average offense is probably asking too much. But I think expecting, instead of being the 31st, 32nd ranked offense in this league, can I expect to be the 25th? Is that crazy?
I don't think it's that crazy, because especially overall, unless you're the top 5 offensive teams, it's been kind of a close race. So even if you play it, go up to jump up to 22, 23, that's not that crazy.
No. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not expecting
I'm not expecting it to go up to
changes.
top 10. Yeah, I'm not expecting to be a top 10 or half in this league. But if you go up and you put up 26 points against this team, and your defense, you keep their offense off the field with good play call and runs, and our defense stays healthy, and they get after Baker, this could very easily be a game where it turns out to be a 21-24 game where the Giants win.
Yeah, but I mean,
it also could be a game where it's 35-21 Giants lose, but
yeah. But I feel like what the Giants did with DeVito last year, that's where I get trouble knowing what to expect here. If you look at the games, his first game was Week 10 last year, starting wise at least, Week 10 against the Cowboys, 17 points. Against the Commanders, he had 31 points for the offense, 10 points against the Patriots, 24 points against the Packers, just 6 against the Saints, 25 against the Eagles. That's some points there. I'm not trying to say that's great, but we're averaging 14 points a game right now. I mean,
yeah, and let's be real. Dallas last year, defense way better. Commanders not as good as last year. You talk about the Saints. Yes, they lost a lot of games, but their offense couldn't stay on the field. But they played some tough games with a good defense. So it's no shocker. Eagles, division rival. It's also Week 18 when that happened. We put up 25 points.
That was Week 15. The Week 17. I would say the Week 18. The last game of the season, DeVito only played for 2 passes and then got hurt.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Oh no! You know what? No, that's right. DeVito got hurt in Week 15, if I'm right. Didn't play in 16. That's when Tyrod Taylor went back in, and then he just tossed the ball twice in the last game. That's all it was. But Tyrod Taylor started the last 2 weeks.
Correct. Yeah. So against bad defenses, he's put up some points, and the Packers defense last year was pretty good too, but he just picked them apart.
Yeah. But it's just weird because he had 3 games that, if you look at it, he scored 10 points a game, and he had 3 games that he scored 25, 26 points a game.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So
number, I could be off on the exact there. I'm just trying to do the math in my head real quick.
But I'm saying, you talk about the Cowboys who just beat up on the Giants the past decade almost, and who had a way better defense, which went over to DC.
And defensive coordinator, exactly.
Yeah. So that's something you got to look at too. Like I said, the Saints played great defense last year. It's bad as the team that they were. They kept the games low scoring for the most part. Yeah. So his losses, his low scoring games, were against really good defenses.
I just feel
he's not playing one this week.
I just feel like DeVito is going to be the difference between whether we win or we lose, because, like I said, he put up the mid-20s in points 3 times. Well, the Bucs are putting up 27 points a game. That puts us in the ballpark of winning. But if you put up a game like you did, 6 points against the Saints, yeah, you're going to be in trouble. We're not going to beat the Bucs that way. But if the Giants can do just enough to get under Baker's skin, and Tommy DeVito just duff it just enough to score, 25 points or so, because you're not going to win by scoring 14 points, guys. It's not going to happen. Not against this team. They put that up in a half.
No, but if your offense is also out of the field burning the clock, like you can expect a lower scoring game than their average. That's fine, but like you said, it's probably not going to be 14. Because, like I said, if you got Tracy running the ball, they're running down the clock, and you control the time of the ball, you can control how many points the team puts up.
Yeah, it's just like I said, it's
as long as the offense stays on the field.
It's such a crapshoot. It really is, and I'll tell you this, guys, right off the bat. We'll give our picks tomorrow on everything here. I'll tell you point blank that I would not bet a penny on this game because I have no clue what to expect.
Too many different variables.
No, it really is. There's way too many variables in this whole thing. So, but like I said, if I have to pick a winner, this guys, until proven otherwise, I'm gonna say that the Giants are gonna lose again because they've just lost too many times. So
8 times to be exact.
And as Mark brings up a very good point as well, DeVito won 3 games. The Giants defense had 7 turnovers in those 3 games. They have 8 turnovers all year this year, and they have 1 interception, guys. I can't stress it enough. 1 interception. I don't understand how that happens. When you're on defense, eventually the ball's gonna land in your hands. You can even trying to get an interception to get more than 1 interception as a team. Absolutely goddamn ridiculous. But yeah, I had the Giants losing this one again. I think we're going to be 2-9 when it's all said and done, personally.
Yeah, I have to sit down and actually think about this, but I'm leaning towards the Giants in the spread, but losing the game. Because I have to imagine the spread's like 4.
5.5, actually, the Giants are getting right now.
So I will lead towards the Giants.
Changes
spread.
Tomorrow we do our pick show. Yeah.
Sign it to Caesar Sportsbooks right now.
I can see that. 5.5 points, a decent amount of points. If the Tommy DeVito can get something going, then like I said, to me the big thing is he's not going to be afraid to throw the ball deep.
No, and there's talent down there.
Good receivers. Yeah.
He did last year with not as good as receivers.
So, all righty, guys. Well, let's get into the one pick we are going to give tonight. And that's our Thursday night picks. We can give that there. We'll go over the rest of the comments, then we'll head on out for the night here. So we got the pick for tomorrow's game. You got the Steelers at the Browns. The Steelers are 3.5-point favorites, and the over-under is 37 points, guys. And yeah, if y'all watch us on a regular basis, I'll tell you guys, I always will say take the under with the Steelers. They can't score points. They don't give up points. So I'll tell you that off the bat, under on that. But I'm going to say the Steelers pull it out. And they win. They cover the spread. They'll win by like a touchdown. And it'll be Steelers, and the under for me.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. And just exactly what you said. They've been, just like their record, 8-2 against the spread, compared to the 3-7 that the Browns have been in the spread. So, yeah, statistically speaking, you're looking at Steelers to win in the spread, hands down. Browns, they're in a lot of trouble in that behind the rock, behind center. They don't know what's going on. You have a healthy Deshaun Watson at your bench because he's absolute poop. Actually, he's on injury reserve now, but he's just got awful. And yeah, their defense is not playing what they did last year. So this is a divisional game. Anything can happen. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Steelers in this game in the under, because that's another thing. Like you said, they've been in unders like all year.
Yeah, they don't give up points, guys. They just don't. It's a really tough defense. So, all right, let's get into the last of the comments here before we head on out here for the night. Solve the Race Problem says, this is not fair. DJ had only had 6 years to prove himself. He needs more time to show he's the guy. Oh yes, of course. John says they're not letting Daniel on the sidelines to suit up. No, they're going to probably let him on the sidelines to suit up, but there's no way in hell that they're going to let him get hurt while suiting up. I'll put it that way.
I was about to say someone's going to put the suit on him in a bubble.
Yeah,
exactly. He's going to look like Josh Travolta when he got out of that room.
Yeah, like I want him in one of those those big blow up balls that you like roll down a hill in.
Yeah, exactly. That's what Josh Travolta was saying.
Except I don't want him near a hill.
Bubble boy.
Exactly. I was put that up for saying that. I did it for a brief second. Johnny Dean saying "Bring it on" with a little hashtag for his Bucks there. And he says, "Who has the Giants beat?" Well, we beat
the Seahawks
the Browns and the Seahawks exactly, and we suck. We're saying it ourselves.
Yeah.
So, but luckily it's the Bucks, and the Bucks have a history of not being so good even when they're supposed to be. So, John says, has anybody gotten Eli Manning's reaction to Daniel Jones being benched yet? No, I have not heard that.
I haven't seen anything.
I would love to see it. I think Eli, I know obviously he had the year on the same team as DJ. He's obviously dealt with him a lot just in general from his time with stuff he's done together with the Giants there. Eli's going to stay quiet because in the end, Eli wants to stay as one of the historic faces of the Giants. You don't go against ownership when that's what you want to be. You ever seen LT really? And LT says all kinds of crazy stuff. Like you saw him after the Legends game talking about point blank how like they should put on uniforms and probably play better than this team. But you notice he bashed the players. He didn't bash the coaches. He didn't bash the GM. He didn't bash the ownership. In a roundabout way, he kind of did because they're the guys who put these guys in the field. But he didn't sit there and say, this is a horrible organization. This is a horribly run organization. This was a mistake to do this or that. He kept it very broad. You don't tick off the people that you want calling you to show up for events and all. That's point blank the way it is. So let's see. Lamar says, I told you 6 years ago, but John did not believe me then. Jones wasn't the starter. Now we in some hot water, and I told you so. Yeah, we're not hot water. We're right where we want to be right now, guys. We are top 5 pick. We are hopefully getting a quarterback. And listen,
and more
issues, other things that go along with that. Let's see what happens. Either things are going to get fixed because we start playing better, and the team as a result is, more cohesive, or we're going to keep on losing at a very, very good draft pick. There's nothing wrong either way. Either way, we're a winner. We can't lose in this scenario, guys. Cannot. So, but then again, it's the Giants. They might find a way. So, all righty, guys. Well, that's going to call it a night for us here. We will see you guys again tomorrow night. We do our breakdown of all our Week 12 picks there for you guys, talking again about everything going on in the NFL. And, of course, any of the latest and greatest Giants news. Who knows what pops up next 24 hours? You never know. So we'll be on there again. As always, we are live every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and, of course, Rob's favorite. And again, we also, of course, are on all the audio podcast platforms. The next day usually lands about 5 a.m. on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon, all the big ones there. Hit the like, hit that subscribe there, guys. Again, you can support us at, we've talked already about supporting us by being a member of our group there, but you can also support us if you want by sending stars on Facebook, also sending super chats here on YouTube as well. Appreciate you guys for listening, and as always, Giant fans,
go Game!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please subscribe.